Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're a company, as you mentioned, WWISE. It's actually an acronym, and the abbreviation of it is Worldwide Industrial and Systems Engineers. We're an organization that actually has been in existence for the last 13 years. We were established in the year 2009. I'm fortunate enough to be the founder of WWISE, and over the last 13 years, our core focus has been to assist organizations in implementing different ISO standards. So predominantly on the governance, risk, and compliance framework. I think that's what most organizations now call it. It's GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. You go through Auditor-General audits and you go through different types of audits, and there's a lot of findings that are given to you in terms of non-compliance or non-conformance to either international standard or a best practice framework. We saw an opportunity to be able to assist in terms of helping organizations close those findings. So we are the ones that do a lot of the administrative alleviation, where we document policies according to best practice standards. We document process flows, procedures, work instructions, and assist organizations in being able to generate records to establish the fulfillment of a best practice standard, as well as compliance to legal requirements. So in a nutshell, what WWISE is all about is we assist organizations in implementing different ISO standards. We also provide training in these various ISO standards, as well as learnerships linked to CETA programs. And we assist with regards to internal auditing. That means prior to an external auditor like a SABS or a BSI or an SGS that will come in and do an independent audit against the respective international standard, we will prepare you beforehand and do a dress rehearsal to make sure your organization's processes are all ready and ready for their particular audit. So our focus is generally to help companies implement these international standards and best practice frameworks around the world. We've been in existence for 13 years. Over 590 customers we've assisted, and we've got a 100% certification record. None of our clients has ever failed an audit. And note that we've also been in more than 16 different countries, and the latest statistics shows that we've trained over 26,000 delegates around the world. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we do. Me as a business owner, I am now appointed as the managing director. As soon as I got married 7 years ago, as all men do, they relinquish power. So I relinquished my power to my wife, who has now become the director or the sole owner of WWISE. She's more on the legal side and compliance side. We met at work, and she's predominantly taken more on the legal side and the compliance side, as well as ensuring the marketing side of the business is managed effectively, whilst I'm handled the operations. My focus is still on in terms of assisting organizations in implementing these standards. I have a background in industrial and systems engineering with a master's degree from the University of Pretoria, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD in industrial and systems engineering at the University of Pretoria. I'm also one of the lead auditors in 10 different standards, and only South African registered auditor in information security, ISO 27001, registered with CQI IRCA, which is the United Kingdom accreditation body for auditors, the only one in South Africa. So that puts me in a very unique position. It took me 7 years to get there, but nevertheless, we also mentor and train auditors from multiple certification bodies to be able to have the capability of doing audits. So my role in the company is generally managing operations, but also assisting organizations in terms of technical know-how when it comes to information and cybersecurity or energy. And I do a lot of the training as well. I enjoy facilitation, and that is basically my role in the organization. So we were approached by an organization called the TVET CGC. They are the governing council of all the TVET colleges in South Africa. So all the 50 TVET colleges report into them, and they manage the governance side of the particular colleges. They, along with Facet CETA, the financial sector CETA, understood that most of the colleges were not performing well in their Auditor-General reports and AG audits on an annual basis. Some of them were because they were unable to present their statements before the due date. Some had a problem with regards to competency. Different colleges had different challenges. So we were then asked by TVET CGC as well as Facet to do a workshop In this workshop, we were fortunate enough in the launch to have the Deputy Minister of Education. We had some of the CEOs from Facet, CETA, as well as some of them from the different colleges, to be able to be present to understand what are the current challenges we're facing in the TVET colleges. One of the key things that came about is a lot of planning. The planning of what Auditor General is auditing against which specific governance framework, whether it's King 4, whether it's GRAP, whether it's IFRS. These are what we call the best accounting practice standards. So sometimes we get lost in translation. An auditor comes out very intimidating and asking questions related to these governance frameworks, and these terminologies are not always understood and interpreted well by the college. And sometimes you do have the records or the evidence, but because you're not understanding the key requirements, you are unable to present that finding. There are also challenges when it comes to being able to ensure that the right budgets, the right competent people in the colleges are there to be able to assist in terms of making sure good governance is in place, like having policies, processes, and procedures. If you're 1 cent above the budget, then obviously it can be regarded as irregular expenditure, or fruitless expenditure. But to get that 1 cent above, you need to follow a process. And a lot of the colleges are not understanding what that process is and what the repercussions are of not having that process. So it's fundamentally known to say that in our colleges, we need to focus on building the current accountants with a level of competency through training, through facilitating, and a hands-on approach in terms of developing a management system that can work for them. They understand the terminologies and also walking the journey with them so they're able to provide the relevant evidence to the AG. There is good governance in place. It's just not harnessed well enough. And sometimes we take too long to be able to make decisions. And I think that is the key thing that stands out. CEOs, CFOs at the colleges are so scrutinized nowadays because of the whole label of corruption. They are unable to make decisions. So here we go, there's a particular purchase order that needs to be signed off on, or a supply that needs to be signed off on, but you do not trust the particular process. So you are in doubt of whether you should sign or not sign. A month goes by, 2 months goes down, 6 months goes down. And that's where people are failing to make decisions. If you do not trust the process, change the process where you can put controls in place to get the trust back. But people are not doing that either. And that's creating a huge bottleneck because there's so much insecurity amongst the process or amongst the people themselves. It's created a culture where they feel vulnerable and insecure. And there's no trust embedded in the process against governance frameworks. So we need to create management systems that change the process to build the trust. If you're not happy when employing someone, because they're not competent, do the due diligence, do the verification checks, the credit checks, the criminal checks, the educational background checks. Make sure that they're in there for 3 months and you validate the performance. And you use the particular tools of the law and the governance standards to be able to make respective decisions. And I think that is predominantly where we're failing short when it comes to being able to assist in terms of providing comfort to Auditor General that we have the right processes, we are following it, and we understand it. Because I think those 3 key areas is where the CFOs and a lot of the financial individuals in the colleges are misunderstanding or not able to provide evidence of these lengthy policies and procedures. Sure. So this is a very important question. Audits generally, let's look at why audits have come about. Back in the 18th century, businesses, when they were growing so fast, they needed a level of assurance that the company was following the right processes, the financials were true, everything was accurate. So they called an independent body to do an evaluation to be able to determine whether or not they were following the right processes and the right governance requirements. Over the years, it has always been as a corporal punishment exercise, which is totally incorrect. Auditing must be used as a tool for improvement. Auditing is for you to see where your gaps are and you focus on corrective actions in closing the gaps. The future of auditing in the 4th industrial revolution is totally going to be changed. And to be able to answer this, I have a short video that I'd like to present that gives you a holistic overview of where we are in auditing, where we're going to be in auditing, and let's not drop off the bandwagon and let's embrace this change. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, 25 years ago, each one of us had a Nokia phone or a BlackBerry. And now who's using Nokia and BlackBerry? So we need to keep up to date with the latest technologies, ladies and gentlemen, and making sure we conform to these particular technological advancements in auditing. So I will now present a short video that gives you an overview of what the future of auditing is all about.
The fourth industrial revolution has begun, driven by AI, machine learning, robotics, blockchain, Imagineering, virtual reality, XR smart glass, the Internet of Things, and other innovative technologies. The pressure is now on auditors to keep pace with technological changes in the industries they serve, to leverage technology themselves in order to provide auditing that is better, faster, and more cost-effective. This is what the new normal of auditing will look like. Process automation. Repetitive, rule-based tasks that would normally be done by junior auditors can now be done by software and robotic technologies. For example, computer systems at auditing firms will interface with an audit client systems to transfer and compile data automatically. Included is the use of drones to observe physical inventories, allowing for quicker, more accurate audits. While upfront investment costs may be high, the reduced need for human resource will drive costs down for the auditor and the audit client. Auditors will be freed up to focus on anomalies and interpretation instead of data collection. Real-time continuous auditing. In the future, there is no sampling model. Auditors are able to analyze 100% of the audit client's data, resulting in more accurate findings in real time. The benefit? Timely notification of anomalies and potential risk. Accounting software will include AI technology that verifies each transaction and will notify auditors immediately if a transaction does not meet a predefined criteria. With the use of RFID tags and GPS location, auditors are able to track the movement of assets, such as inventory, vehicles, and even people. Sensor equipment will measure tolerances and check for inconsistencies. Employees will wear XR smart glass technology that simultaneously allows their actions to be monitored by AI technology, so as to immediately identify an oversight or incorrect action, while also providing guidance and instructions using augmented reality. Blockchain. Blockchain technology has qualities that dovetail well with best auditing practices. Firstly, it is very secure and transparent, making tampering with data extremely difficult and near impossible to do undetected. Secondly, it is decentralized. This allows the auditing firm to be part of the chain, with access to the data at any time. Then thirdly, any updates occur across the whole chain almost immediately, ensuring data is always current. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data processing. Further advances in computer technology allows auditing software to process massive amounts of data in a fraction of the time. Advanced AI technology is overlaid on this data, which analyzes and correlates structured data, such as financial reports, inventory records, and HRM reports, with unstructured data, such as emails, electronic messaging, news, and even social media. The machine learning subset of this AI technology will provide a more holistic view of what happened and why. Its algorithms will generate hypotheses of what may have caused an anomaly or irregularity, calculate the likelihood of a recurrence, and recommend corrective actions to marginalize the risk. The unbiased nature of AI and its ability to leverage big data will uncover anomalies that would likely be overlooked by a human. The role of the auditor is changing. The auditor of the future will not only be called upon to provide a look in the rearview mirror, but will also be expected to provide their clients with a view of the road ahead and assist in making critical strategic decisions. AI models such as twin technology, which creates a digital duplicate of a real-world process, and Imagineering, which allows companies to explore strategic options digitally to create better, more reliable forecasts, will be essential additions to the auditor's toolkit and will provide clients with an enhanced level of assurance. The benefit of 4IR technology to the auditing process is clear. The auditor of the future will be expected to provide more accurate audits at a greatly reduced cost and in many cases in real time. The automation of mundane repetitive tasks will allow auditors to devote more of their time to analyzing results and providing key insights to their audit clients. But what are the risks? Increased automation and the use of AI could lead firms to hire fewer junior auditors who previously performed manual tasks, leading to an inevitable shortage of skilled senior auditors and an increase in salaries to attract higher-level, experienced auditors. Auditing firms will need to invest in technology. Employees with advanced IT skills will be required to develop algorithms and to integrate auditing systems with client systems. Suddenly, auditing companies will find themselves competing with technology companies such as Apple, Facebook, and Google to attract IT talent. As we move towards this new normal, with all these new technologies, there will be a steep learning curve that will undoubtedly present new risks we may not even be aware of yet. Future auditors will also need to develop new skill sets. Auditors of the future need to be technologically savvy and just as comfortable discussing coding and algorithms as audit procedures and reporting. Their focus will shift from reporting to providing insights and strategic consulting. They will also need highly developed communication and soft skills to be able to maintain a relationship with clients in an increasingly automated and remote environment. They must display an ability to think and act quickly and must be able to provide valuable and timely insights in a way the client can easily comprehend and act upon. There are two key takeouts from this. 1. The technology is already here. Don't ask, should I be adopting them? But rather, how quickly can I integrate them into my auditing processes? 2. Don't be afraid of this technology. It is there to advance and improve your auditing process. But it can never replace the value of a trained auditor eye and ability to apply professional skepticism. To quote John F. Kennedy, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future." It is imperative that we embrace technology and all the opportunity it offers, so as not to miss the future of auditing.
So we work very closely with the TVET CGC, the secretary, the chairman, as well as the Facet CETA CEO and CFO. And we've come up with an understanding that when we had these workshops in each of the provinces with the relevant top management or board members and giving them an indication of what good governance is. That is what we went around the country doing with chartered accountants in our particular organization that come highly experienced by either working for Deloitte or being an auditor for Auditor-General or being on the receiving end of AG. So we had these experts, ironically, their names are also Mohammed. So Mohammed Dalal and Mohammed Antali, they were the ones who were the chartered accountants registered with SAICA that went around the colleges to speak to the directors and executives of what the challenges are. We then identified there was a need to go down a level lower, to hear it down to the horse's mouth, because a lot of the staff, the operational staff, were nervous to speak about their peers sitting in the same room. So then the CGC and TVET, the Facet, CETA, and CGC called us to say, we're going to run another workshop. This workshop now is going to go to each college around the province. So we're going to select a college in a province, and we'll go to all 9 provinces. And now we're going to be speaking to the operational staff. And this is not a presentation, it's a workshop. The workshop is to understand what their strengths are, focus key areas of weaknesses, their threats and opportunities. And we want to create an action plan from there, hearing the challenges from each of the colleges and giving the report to the TVET, CGC, and Facet, who's funding this, to give them a robust plan. We foresee already that there's going to be a 3-prong approach to this. Prong number 1, or phase number 1 that we call it, we want to be able to create an accredited learnership program through Facet, CETA that can educate the particular financial people in each of the colleges, working in each of the college, whether it's a CFO, whether it's an administrator, whoever it may be, on exactly what governance is when it comes to auditing practices, what auditors look for, what are the risk assessments, what is King 4, what is GRAP, what is IFRS, and how we can be able to create a learnership program that's accredited to give them the tools from a theoretical point of view of being able to understand the basics or even that of the technical terminologies of what AG is looking at. Then phase 2 is to then again look at that workshop where we had all those weaknesses and threats and create a management system for them to make sure we document and update the policies, document and update the process flows, procedures, introduce systems to automate where there's risk so we can be able to avoid this particular area where there's an area of insecurity or probably a resultant effect that can result in some sort of corruption, if you can call it. So we want to be able to automate those particular areas so those questions or those particular insecurities can be managed accordingly. Once we've done that, we then want to be prepared for AG in the 3rd year. So we want to work with Auditor-General and with the colleges to hear what the questions are and present the solutions in terms of now using the theoretical and practical to justify we're meeting good governance frameworks and bring back the confidence of not only the public of South Africa, the students of South Africa, but the entire world, that we are working towards a solution. And we have the solutions in place. We just need to implement them and harness them and communicate them effectively. So we want to hold the college's hands and be present like you are in a particular trial, being an advocate, working with them to give them the solutions and show them and present them what it is all about, so that the next year, which is the 4th year, they can do this on their own. Our interpretation is to be able to transfer the knowledge and skills that we have to the level that is at the budget capabilities of each of the colleges. They cannot pay a CFO over R1 million a year. They're limited with budget constraints. So sometimes you don't get the chartered accountants in this particular positions who have gone through their articles and registrations. So we need to try and educate or guide them to get to that level. And that is the 3-phase approach that we feel is going to help the colleges improve their governance.